north side street and most likely looking for a place to dump the vehicle. Now, one unit has crossed over with them, and now only one of those units is ready to make that left turn. That's going to be a northbound turn onto, I think that's now only one of those units is ready to make that left turn. That's going to be a northbound turn side again onto residential park. Now only one of those units is ready to make that left turn. So northbound turn side again onto residential park. Now only one of those units is ready to make that left turn. So northbound turn side again onto residential park. Now only one of those units is ready to make that left turn. So northbound turn side again onto residential park. Now only one of those units is ready to make that left turn. So northbound turn side again onto residential park. Now only one of those units is ready to make that left turn. So northbound turn side again onto residential park. Now only one of those units is ready. Nope. Yep, would have been a good place, but once again, the likelihood of a pit maneuver just went up again because at these speeds, this is the perfect situation. Most of these streets are pretty desolate, as you can see at this time of the night. Not a whole lot of traffic, lots of commercial warehouses, no collateral damage here. Comes up on another intersection with a lot of pavement to play with. Yep, that's Spruce at Alameda Street, making a slow crawl onto Alameda, now northbound Alameda under the freeway, and maybe looking for a chance to get back on. I don't know why. I think something is wrong with the vehicle. Perhaps it's fuel, perhaps it's something else, but he is coming to almost a dead stop under this overpass, which is going to be a little bit difficult for us. We're going to come around here and see. It almost looks, he's still crawling along, no more than 20 miles per hour, and there he is. That'll put him back on Rosecrans, I think, or unless that's, yeah, this will merge with Rosecrans. So now crossing over Rosecrans, a U-turn on Rosecrans Avenue, and now going back in the eastbound direction. So now eastbound Rosecrans, back through Compton, and even picking up a little bit more speed. So maybe that wasn't the end of the gas tank, but in any event, that speed is not right, but he's doing about 50, 45, 50 as he steps on the gas there. Still has some more life left in him, but look at this, onto a sidewalk. Okay, that's an access road. This will take you. Okay, it's one of those exit, those kind of like access roads that could take you off of Rosecrans onto, in this case, Spring Street. He made an erratic U-turn there, and now puts him on Spring at Peck, in a residential area where I think they probably will be less likely to perform a pit because you just don't know who's walking around, and obviously it's pretty dark out there. So you want to. It looks like either a parked car or somebody just stopped at the stoplight. Yeah, it started at the stop sign. That's right. I mean, it was just a few days ago. You can't forget that pursuit on Friday where there was a getaway vehicle ready under an overpass to take the suspect away, and the pursuit continued. So even if the vehicle's on borrowed time, if he's determined and has a network in this neighborhood, he may have the ability to something. That was one of the first times I've seen it executed so well. He just jumped, switched vehicles, pulled a switcheroo under the overpass. But in any event, there's the spike. There's the spike. There's the spike. And that looks like it was a successful spike strip. That was a really clever spike. That was a pretty lengthy spike strip. I didn't even see it right away, and I don't think he saw it either. Ran right over it, and we'll see how the vehicle starts to behave. If it behaves any differently right now, if it was a good spike, there's little tubes that will penetrate the tire and slowly let the air out of those tires, bringing the vehicle to eventually a slow crawl at best. But in any event, he is now circling this neighborhood, a neighborhood that we have been through a couple times already, as you mentioned, which indicates he may be very well familiar with this neighborhood. Through another red light there, and back over a set of railroad tracks, and the joyride at this point is continuing. It's been really slow, yeah. I mean, at one point, maybe 45, 50, as you mentioned, but really, since he's been off the freeway, it's slowed down dramatically, and now underneath Rosecrans again. We'll see if he pulls back into these residential neighborhoods, but it still looks like the vehicle's, driving okay, I guess, okay. Actually, that front left tire looks a little wobbly. What do you think, Rob? Can we push in there? It does look like that front tire is starting to lose air, Mark. Is it my imagination? It appears a little bit wobbly, but again, it could be an optical illusion. Well, it's definitely not flat. That was a good shot there. Nice close-up as he makes this illegal U-turn at Santa Fe Avenue, now going eastbound again on Rosecrans. You can count the units there, upwards of a half a dozen, as he slowly reverses course on Rosecrans and just barely making that right turn now onto McDivitt Avenue, another residential street. Picking up a little speed over that speed bump, but it does not look like those tires are running flat. The hazards, yeah, that's his hazard lights. They have been on for a chunk of time. I'm not sure if they were on at the very beginning, but they've been blinking for a little while. Those rear view mirrors, which we've mentioned, they have been hanging off by ever since that. I think ever since he made contact with those fences, but maybe even before that. So he has no rear view mirrors, just the one inside the vehicle. But yeah, the hazards are on. The lights have been on the whole time. Just difficult to see. We were able to get a glimpse of the passenger seat, which is empty. We don't know for sure whether those back seats are empty, but we will find out soon here. But in any event, he's now back onto Santa Fe Avenue. That's a northbound turn onto Santa Fe. Let's count once again, Mark, or Rob. I just want to see. He's got 3, 4, so the same 4 units. And by the way, I think some of these units may have actually been swapped out with the original. Since we originally joined you, I think these are some fresh units that have joined the pursuit, which is par for the course here once you switch into the CHP South LA division. Yeah, you would think, and I look at the right rear, Mark. Look at the right rear that is now starting to smoke. You can see a little bit of smoke coming from the right rear, and I think maybe that rear tire may have been affected by the spike. The front tires appear intact. It's difficult to tell, especially at this time of the night, but it does look like there's some smoke now coming from that right rear rim as that tire may be deflating. He's now at Compton Boulevard, and there's a better shot. Look at that. Yeah, they're both, actually both. So the right tires hit the spike. It looks like maybe the left tires were spared. But both of those right tires, the front and the rear, are now basically down to the rim. The rubber's still on there, but there's no air left, and he is riding on those rims. That's where that smoke is coming from. That is going to dramatically affect the steering of this car. It's only a I don't know exactly the model, but it's a Kia, maybe slightly older model. Can't say for sure, but this vehicle, I think we can say now, is on borrowed time. It looks like the back seat's empty, but there's something. Is that his hand? I'm trying to make out what is sticking. Is that? I think that might be his cell phone, actually. It might be a shot of his cell phone through that front window, which is rolled down. I thought he was sticking it out the window for a second, but you can see the display from, I think, a cell phone. So he's driving with his right hand. Looks like he's got a cell phone in his left hand. And, worth reiterating, the speeds still not really breaching 35 or 40 miles per hour. So it's turned into a bona fide joyride at this rate, but it's not going to end well for him, and he's not going to make it easy. You just don't get that impression, but again, hopefully he does. Hopefully he's using this time to think about things a little bit more clearly. But it takes all kinds, and if he's a career criminal and just is determined, then it could end differently. We'll see what happens, but in any event, those right tires are now done, and the speeds have been affected as he's now making his way down Long Beach Boulevard, northbound Long Beach Boulevard at about 30 miles per hour, coming up on Cedar Avenue here in Compton. And again, a fresh pursuit package now in tow. These are all from CHP's South LA division. Yeah, and the longer this goes on, I think there's no choice but to wonder why. Why haven't they done it sooner? Now, again, we're armchair quarterbacks. These guys are working with intelligence about the suspect, about the other crimes that may be involved here. A lot of information that we don't have. So, again, take all this with a grain of salt, but why are they letting this go so long when I have seen many opportunities for a very safe pit maneuver that would have brought this most likely to an end? Now, maybe it could be that after his maneuver earlier, they're thinking a little bit more carefully about that because they know that if they're in if they spin him out and he does like a 180 and he's then face to face with those officers, he has no problem if the vehicle's still drivable to ram right into those officers and pose a real danger to their life. So that's one consideration. I'm sure there's lots of considerations that the watch commander and the supervisors are discussing right now as to how they want to treat this. But in an environment where we have seen several fatalities on LA roadways as a result of police pursuits just in the last couple of weeks, you can't help but wonder why. When you're watching it go on for, we're going on well over an hour with this pursuit. We've seen opportunities. Got to wonder why and what else they are dealing with. That's a big one. Yeah. Right. Right. So in that circumstance, that pit maneuver would actually turn into an escalatory measure with somebody like this, and they don't want to do that. And so that makes a lot of sense. I get that. Now they have a successful spike strip at least on one side of the vehicle. So if this continues, I imagine they'll set up at least for a spike strip on the left side if they have the chance. If that opportunity arises, I hear there's some chatter about that, so it's a good possibility. But again, those spike strips, when you see them executed well, it's always a little bit of luck too, because you're banking on the suspect following a specific pattern or by happenstance happening to turn and drive right over at any given intersection or what have you. So they are difficult to execute. I think nobody in the country does them as well as law enforcement officers here in Southern California, because the training is so intense and they have so much practice doing it. And so, let's see if they try and spike the left side, because that will really hinder him. I mean, the right tires are gone, but he's still, as the rubber gets chewed off, I imagine eventually those rims will indeed just start to crumble. But that could take a while. I mean, we've seen fully spiked vehicles travel quite a distance in the past, and so it doesn't always bring it to a stop. Certainly, it slows things down, and he was already slow, and he's I think, only really gotten slower in the last 15 minutes. That's a good point. Yeah. If he maintains these slow speeds, you make an excellent point, because the likelihood, the risk of a high-speed crash goes down. Obviously, if he's only traveling 20, 30 miles per hour at the most, that's manageable. So at that point, why increase the risk when they could just wait for the gas tank to empty out? Again, time is always on the side of law enforcement. We become impatient as spectators because we, of course, want to see it come to an end. And if there were lives in danger or they felt it was getting too dangerous, they would use other tactics. But under the circumstances, with what they're dealing with here, you can rationalize why they are just letting him burn off as much fuel as possible and then approach the vehicle at that point. So probably what we're seeing here, because they've, as we mentioned, there have been other opportunities to bring this to an end, and they are opting not to, and I think there's a reason for it. Yeah, and now I'm really curious as to where exactly. I wish we had a pinpoint location. I don't have that, unfortunately, but something tells me it probably started in this very neighborhood. Just a guess on my part, but it did begin in Compton, went up the 710 freeway into the East LA interchange. He got off, was not very familiar with that part of town in East LA, basically ended up on private property in a dead end, went face to face with those officers, a couple of collisions with those CHP units, and then where he saw there was no outlet, just rammed right through some fencing in those parking lots, tearing the fences right off and continuing the pursuit back onto the freeway, ending up on the 710 freeway, back into Compton, back into this neighborhood. And when he got onto Rosecrans, and almost made his way into Redondo Beach. Sure enough, he turned around and came right back to this general area. For the last 5 minutes, by the way, he's basically been flirting with the border between Compton and Linwood, but he is now in Compton, and he is on Santa Fe Avenue. Once again, all of these streets are pretty familiar to us just because we've been here several times in the last half hour, so they're certainly familiar to him. Yep, the front right and the right rear both down to the rims. We have seen some sparks flying. I think that's actually coming from the bumper, but we have seen some smoke coming from, I think, the remainder of the rubber. In any event, he is now zigzagging his way once again through another residential neighborhood, and I hesitate to call these random turns because he may very well be more familiar with these turns. So he's not really in any position to outrun these officers, not at these speeds, and certainly not in the condition of the vehicle. He knows that he's on borrowed time. He knows better than we do, probably, how this is going to end. And, you know, while as crazy as this pursuit has been at times and as serious as the charges are going to be, this is nothing more than a joyride for the last however many minutes. I mean, this has really been just a casual cat and mouse game with these officers, not getting very far, putting no distance between him and that primary unit. You see some more sparks coming off there. That front right rim is probably going to be the first one to go here. That is really, it's a front wheel drive car, and I don't think, it looks like that rim is already starting to come apart. Yep. Yeah, I mean, while we're on the topic, something very similar happened to me many years ago. Seeing my own car pull out of my driveway on my way home, and seeing my car drive in the opposite direction, only to be found days later in pretty similar condition. Unfortunately, it was an '87 Monte Carlo, but we won't talk about that. Yeah, yelling at somebody. I mean, certainly those officers can't hear him, but he is certainly trying to communicate as he made his way through that intersection there. Very animated. Not what I would expect. I kind of, just based on the driving and the circumstance here, you felt like he was just kind of taking it easy, but he looks angry. He looked very animated there for a minute, and that is not a good sign, I have to say. I mean, that, I was hoping, really hoping, that with the turn of events and the condition of the vehicle, that he would have some time to calm down. But he is still very energetic and was clearly yelling at somebody there. Not sure what that was all about. In any event, continuing now northbound Long Beach Boulevard. Normally a much busier boulevard, especially on the weekends, but on a Tuesday night, light traffic, not a lot of pedestrians out. You still see the helicopter circling this pursuit. You see some of the neighboring jurisdictions here, the other police departments just kind of, in some cases, blocking intersections, in other cases just kind of waiting in the event that it comes to an end in their jurisdiction. But the vehicle still driving pretty steady here, despite the fact that those right tires are gone. He's managing to maintain about 25 miles per hour now on Long Beach Boulevard. So it has not slowed him down entirely, at least not yet. But if he stays here, maybe they'll have the opportunity. Yep, the phone's still in his hand there. I was about to say, if he stays on this track, certainly a possibility they may be able to set up for another spike strip, at least on the driver's side. Yeah. Yeah, in fact, at least as almost every time that we've even been able to peek through that driver's side window, he's had that phone on, whether he's texting somebody, calling somebody, or like you said, maybe streaming ABC7 at this point. Who knows? But that is most likely what those watch commanders are doing. In fact, back at the CHP station, probably watching our very picture right now as he continues to maneuver through South LA here in Compton. This time he's made that turn onto MLK Boulevard, and you see now CHP creating a traffic break behind him as he comes. Now he's almost coming to a stop. The vehicle's slowing down even more, coming up on another intersection and slowing down even more. It's a stop sign, but he's barely going to make it through this intersection. I think the vehicle is starting to give him problems. We've said that before, and he's, gassed it, been able to, continue the pursuit. But I think he's really, really crawling now as he toys with these officers. They are ready to bring this to an end. They're ready to make that felony arrest once he decides to pull over. I don't see him getting very far if he does decide to run on foot. But we'll see what kind of stamina he's got left here. He is certainly, that last time that we saw him was pretty animated behind the wheel of the car. Look at this cross traffic here at the stop sign, continuing through. That driver of that pickup truck certainly able to hear the lights and sirens coming through here. And now he comes back out on the other side of that residential street, back onto Long Beach Boulevard. This time, though, making a right turn onto the southbound side of Long Beach Boulevard, and once again able to keep that wheel steady and pretty much driving in a straight line at 25 miles per hour, despite the fact that he is missing two right tires. Basically down to the rims. The left tires appear to be in good shape, and he's now going through a major red here. That is Long Beach at Imperial Highway, coming up on the 105 freeway. He's been hesitant to take this under the freeway, which would put him into Linwood. But in any event, he's heading in that direction now. So he's made plenty of U-turns, and if history is any indicator, he will probably make another U-turn soon here as he ventures away from the territory that he seems to be most comfortable in. He started this pursuit over an hour ago in this general vicinity. He has ended up here. Hard to imagine that he's going to get too far away from here, but with the pressure behind him, anything's possible, right? So we'll see as he continues northbound or rather southbound on Long Beach Boulevard. And look at this. Look at this. Still able to accelerate at a decent clip under the 105 freeway, bypassing the entrance ramp there. Had an opportunity to get on the freeway, and now he's going a tick faster. What do we say, about 40 miles per hour? Right around 40, 45 miles per hour as he accelerates underneath the 105 freeway into Linwood. Or am I right about that? Is he? Are we still? Yeah, I mean, I guess we're in Compton now. But in any event, southbound Long Beach Boulevard at a faster clip and putting a little bit of distance, maybe more than a little bit of distance, between himself and that primary unit. More sparks flying out of the right side. We'll widen out really quick. I want to get an idea how far back is that lead unit. We've got one unit about 8 car lengths back, speeding up behind him, able to make the turn. No U-turn, just a left turn now onto Carlin Avenue, back into a residential neighborhood. More sparks flying from that front right rim. And how many other of those units were able to make that turn? Are they all still behind him? My guess is yes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 units, 4 CHP units. Still the lead agency in this pursuit, despite everything we've seen here this evening. And it makes perfect sense when you consider the fact that he has literally rammed into police vehicles during the course of this pursuit. Now making a right turn onto Bullis Road off of Carlin. You see the sheriff's helicopter still up in the air over this pursuit as they circle these intersections, doing really tight orbits, trying to keep close eyes just in case he comes to a sudden stop and is able to run for it. Again, these are narrower streets, less likely that we'll see a pit maneuver here. But California Highway Patrol ready for anything as he makes his way through this neighborhood. Some street vendors here, not a lot of pedestrians out, very light traffic overall, but certainly the danger exists nonetheless. I mean, especially if he's still able to accelerate through some of these intersections, anything is possible, and we certainly don't even want to use our imaginations, because we've certainly seen what some of these people are capable of, and you just hope that this ends in a peaceful fashion, or at least a peaceful resolution as possible. So now North Bullis Road off of Carlin, continuing, slowing down a bit after we saw more sparks flying out of the right side of the vehicle. Yeah, the calculations that he's making here, and certainly some of the behavior that we're seeing, makes you wonder, at least possible and worth raising the question, if he's under the influence. We know the original charge was GTA, Grand Theft Auto, but there's nothing saying that can't be, might be other things at play here. And if he is under the influence, that will certainly play into how this all ends up. But he is doing a circle around this neighborhood now on McMillan Street at Bradfield, coming back up to Bullis, North Bullis Road. If he makes a right turn, that'll be the direction he came in here. But he's basically circling these neighborhoods. I'm not sure if he ran over something there or something fell off the vehicle. But he is speeding over a number of speed bumps, which are a real challenge for those right wheels, especially considering that even those rims are on really borrowed. I mean, at some point, if he accelerates too much, he will eat right through those rims, and eventually you've got nothing left but axle. We're not there yet. You can still see the rims spinning there, but at some point, they will start to come apart. Yeah, especially for a Kia, right? I mean, it's a small, compact vehicle. I mean, these are not heavy-duty trucks, and we've seen semis that have been spiked numerous times, and they can go all night long. We had one maybe just about 6 months ago that went for like 8 hours down the freeway, even at a snail's pace, after every tire on the 18-wheeler was flattened by spike strips. The thing just kept on going. This is not that. This is a small, compact vehicle that is not designed to endure this type of damage. So he's kind of just weaving his way through here. Bradfield, we were here just a moment ago, now turning off at K. He's on Bradfield, and now his next major here is Rosecrans. He'll turn westbound onto Rosecrans, and I imagine, look at that, somebody is aware of it and sticking their cell phone out the window. So you already are starting to see some of the spectators out here familiar with this pursuit, aware of this pursuit, and taking pictures and video while they're at it here. And I think it's fair to say at this point, we could say pretty confidently that this is now a tactic that they are using here. They have made a determined decision to let this continue, because now, over the course of the last hour, we can say with confidence, there have been many opportunities to end this in other ways. They have made the calculation that that's not what they want to do, not the safest course of business. So in this case, they have used one spike strip. Maybe they try for another, but other than that, they are just going to continue to follow him at these speeds unless something dramatically changes. They will follow him to the very end. Again, they can swap out units all night long until that tank is empty. Might be a very different call during the day too, but at night, and this has been the pattern all night on the freeways and on surface streets. Traffic very light tonight on Tuesday night. Not a whole lot of people out, just occasionally a few cars at the lights, but that's about it. And so why not, right? If they feel that it's safe enough to do this, and this is safer than the alternative, that's what they're going to do. And I was actually a little surprised a few moments ago to see him accelerate up to 40 miles per hour. I thought this vehicle had already reached its top speeds for the night, but we'll see what's left. I mean, it really makes you wonder whether he is intentionally crawling along like this. Is he trying to conserve fuel? Is he just trying to fight the steering wheel because those right wheels are not cooperating and that's why he's going slow? Or is he just, is it more of a joyride, as we mentioned earlier? Does he have the ability to still move this vehicle, maybe not as fast as he would want, certainly not at freeway speeds, but he's got to be aware. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He knows that, you know, he's probably already tried to floor it and realizing that the car's just not cooperating. And so it's only a matter of time before this comes to an end. They know it. He knows it. We know it. The only thing we don't know is how it's going to end once that vehicle is disabled. Another minute of freedom. That's right. Yeah, he's probably just as surprised as we are that the car's still rolling. But yeah, he's enjoying every minute of it. And if he is under the influence, that has been, which has been the case many, many times, where they enjoy their last smokes and their last beer in the driver's seat before going to jail. In any case, we don't know that that's the case here. No indication from any of our information that he's under the influence, but certainly the behavior has been very erratic and a little bit aggressive at times, which is a little bit surprising to me. But again, he's got his now left hand on the wheel, and his right hand, I can't tell if he still has the phone or if it's something. Is it a bottle? It looks like a bottle. Yep, there you go. Well, just as we were saying, he very well may be enjoying his last beer. You never know. Definitely a little bit more weaving than he was. I was pretty surprised he was able to keep it as straight as he was, but it now looks like that vehicle is behaving a little bit differently. Still, those right rims, by the way, the rubber's completely gone, so the tires have flown off completely. There's nothing left there. It's pure rim on asphalt, and still carrying the vehicle, but I think you're right. I think it's starting to affect the in any event, made a turn now back onto Carlin Avenue. Again, worth noting that these are all streets. In fact, every turn he's made in the last few minutes has been repeat adventures. He has been on all of these streets multiple times, essentially doing a circle. What may or may not be his neighborhood, he has certainly made the decision to stay around here. And, you know, again, always worth repeating, this is where it all started, at least in this part of town. So you can draw your own conclusions. It may very well turn out to be his neighborhood. You're absolutely right. The endurance level, the adrenaline spikes, they are very real, and they come into play so much so that these officers are trained on how to deal with those roller coasters of emotions that are going through. There's a lot of multitasking going on, and then there's a lot of emotions during these pursuits. And in this case, we know that that lead unit has been replaced at least once, maybe twice. It wouldn't surprise me if it was even more than that, even when we weren't watching or didn't catch it. But they will swap these out. That's something that the watch commanders are keenly aware of. They don't want to leave a primary unit in that lead position for too long. For that very reason, it's something that they have done studies on, they have trained on, and they're aware of. That is something that can complicate the actual arrest, and it can complicate the actual safety of the driving behind the wheel of these pursuing officers, because they are human beings just like you and me, and they have their own endurance limits, and these are stressful episodes. I mean, you know, we are as a culture here in Los Angeles, fairly obsessed with these. They are exciting to watch on TV, but they are dangerous, real-life dramas that are playing out. And the reason we air them is for public safety, first and foremost, because there is so much danger involved. And one of the many dangers is that in many cases, not only private citizens who get hurt, but law enforcement officers who get hurt as well, because the driving, you have to now mirror in some cases this maniac's driving behind the wheel of the pursuit vehicle, and then you have to try and keep up with him or try and outsmart him or whatever the case may be. And again, that is a mental exercise. It's a real workout for those all of the officers involved, but like you said, especially those lead units right behind the suspect. Look at this, and this is what you're afraid of, right? Because this has now been going on long enough that, as you mentioned, neighbors are well aware of the commotion. They are well aware of what's going on with technology. They've already received the breaking news notifications. They've got Citizen on their phone. They're aware of this, and now you start to see some people coming out to either take part in it, to catch a glimpse of it, to get a quick photo or video or social media post. Certainly ill-advised, but in this case, it's almost inevitable. The longer the pursuit goes on, I'm almost surprised we haven't seen more of that. And if it was earlier in the day, maybe we would. But in any case, we have not seen that much. But we certainly hate to see a pedestrian jump into, into position anywhere near this pursuit, because you just never know. Even at these slow speeds, you just never know how it's going to end. And God forbid it ends right at that moment. You then pose a real problem for law enforcement, because they have to look out for crossfire situations. They have to reevaluate their use of force in a position where they might need to use force, whatever the case may be. It's just a much cleaner situation when the streets are clear, the sidewalks are clear, and everybody is indoors. And certainly, I hope it stays that way. It's a pretty calm night. Like I said, not a whole lot of traffic to begin with out here. Very few pedestrians, but certainly folks are well aware of what is playing out in their neighborhood, where, even 10 years ago, might not have been the case. It might have taken a little longer for word to spread. People say turn on the TV, and then by the time you make it to the TV, whatever. But right now, everybody is well aware of what's going on here. Look at this. I mean, absolutely unnecessary. Actually approaching the vehicle almost as if she wanted to give him a high five. Okay, this is nothing compared to some of the things that we've seen in the past, but that's the type of behavior that could certainly get somebody hurt. It's really, really important that people not try and do things just like that. A clear example of what we were just talking about, have no idea. Maybe they know him, and maybe they know that he's not a threat to them. But that's not the point, right? Because there are so many other factors here. It's just not worth it. The danger is all too real. And now we're seeing more and more people pulled over. These are neighbors. These aren't professional photographers. These are not news media. These are neighbors who are coming out to partake in the commotion out here tonight, and you see a lot more people now with their phones out. Yep. Yeah, unfortunately, you're right. The driving now continuing at a snail's pace back on Santa Fe Avenue. Again, another major thoroughfare that we have been on plenty this evening. The lights turning green for them, and they are continuing to roll right through these intersections at no more than 25 miles per hour. It's been a while since we've seen him deviate. He's been pretty much on this the same pattern for a while, and so I'm starting to wonder why we haven't even seen another spike strip to try and knock out those left tires. It's easy for me to say, but I would imagine that that's something they wish they could do um, to further disable the vehicle. But so far, just those right tires that have been incapacitated. Now he's on 2 right rims and then 2 left tires that appear to be intact. But at these speeds, he's been able to maintain control of the vehicle, and that's probably not by choice. It's just that's just all the vehicle will give him as he makes these random turns, mostly right turns, by the way, which again puts him into kind of a more of a pattern and more of these like circles around these same blocks. Again, more people coming out, and it's definitely, on TikTok you can go viral really quick. So it looks like he's continuing through, kind of almost enjoying the attention. And we saw just a few minutes ago, it looked like he was sipping on something. Don't know what it was. Whatever it was, I think he polished it off because it was basically the end of the last few drops you saw, and then I think now I almost saw another. Well, it might have just been a reflection. I thought I saw the cell phone, but actually his window is back up, right? His window is back up. That's all reflection at this point. So, yeah, we haven't had a clear glimpse of him in a few minutes, but it seems as though he is just enjoying these last few minutes of freedom, or maybe another hour. Who knows? At what point, or at any point, do we see them change the tactic, if at all? Maybe not. I mean, we've discussed why. They may just, ride this out to the end. But the slower he gets, I mean, as he makes his way into, different areas. I mean, here's another wide open area. Still has some residences here, but do they pull up next to him? Do they try and communicate with him? Do they try and maybe talk some sense? Or is somebody trying to reach him? Is he calling a family member? These are all the things that go through my head. Or are they just riding blind behind him, uh, completely unaware of what his next move is? Now, nobody can read his mind, but, again, they are usually working with more information than we are. So we're just spectators. I would imagine they've made some effort to find out more about the suspect and more about the crime here. But if it was a fresh stolen and they just caught up with the LoJack, then that might be all they are aware of. Yeah, same here. Yeah, I think that's a conscious. It has to be a conscious decision. It was definitely intriguing at first, but it's clearly a tactic at this point to not employ the pit. They made the conscious decision to try the spike. They haven't tried it again, at least as far as we're aware. They must be confident that the vehicle's on borrowed time, which makes sense, and that the gas tank only has a finite amount of fuel, and this could be very anticlimactic at the end, I'm afraid. Right? Yeah, exactly. Uh, that's what they're hoping. Yep. Yeah. Now on South Mona Boulevard, continuing towards 130th at a snail's pace here, but still in the city of Compton. We have not really left that general area. He is in Compton, maybe kind of on the edge of Willowbrook now, but he's not traveled very far, hasn't covered a whole lot of real estate in the last hour or so. He's basically just circling the same general neighborhoods where, at least it appears, he is a known entity by some of the folks who have come out this evening. Certainly wondering what was going through that woman's mind who actually approached the vehicle almost to give him a high five. You have to wonder what that was all about. And you have to wonder almost, I didn't see it. I don't think that I've seen any of these units drop out, but I almost, in some cases, would imagine that one of the pursuing officers would stop and talk to that woman to see if they do know who he is. Maybe they're already doing that behind the scenes and we don't know it. But that appeared to be somebody who knew him, somebody who was aware of the pursuit and aware that he was coming through. And there's probably more of that. We're certainly seeing a lot more folks with their phones out as he makes his way around the same general area now on East El Segundo Boulevard. So the answer is yes. We're not aware of it. However, it certainly would be one of the things that they are considering that would explain some of the tactics that we've seen. If maybe they have information that he might be. Now, certainly, he has already shown a willingness to use the vehicle as a weapon, which certainly counts as a deadly weapon. Aside from that, whether he is armed inside the vehicle, whether he's got a gun or a knife or whatever else, we don't know. We have not heard reports to that effect, but that doesn't mean that they aren't aware of a weapon in the vehicle, because that is also something that in many cases would preclude them from attempting a pit maneuver. That's one of the things that makes you think twice about getting into a pit maneuver with somebody who's heavily armed. Now, it certainly happens, but it's one of the things that goes into the decision-making process, and it's something that we have seen here, and the clear intent to not pit him again. Again, it could just be a coincidence, but so far, no reports of any weapons. Right. Yeah, right around 20 to 25 miles per hour. We'll go ahead and throw up our real-time speed tracker, dipping below 15 miles per hour, so really slowing down now. Back on Santa Fe Avenue. Again, if that sounds familiar, trust your instincts. We have been on Santa Fe numerous times over the last 30 minutes, if not more. Actually, again, all of these streets are looking really familiar. We've moved a little bit further to the east and north, but or west and north towards Willowbrook, but still in the same general vicinity as he's kind of meandered around here, almost looking for attention. Again, enjoying the ride. He's got the window's been up and down at times. It looks like the window might be cracked now. I can't get a clear view inside. I do see the reflection there. But other than that, he is going right through another red light here. So these, look at that, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, close to 8 or 9 people anticipating the pursuit, phones ready, and trying to catch a glimpse. A little more smoke coming from that right rear rim. Every time he speeds up, and now he has sped up a little bit, now closer to 25 miles per hour, upwards of 30. And a little bit of smoke coming from the rear of the vehicle. Thank you, Rob. Southbound Santa Fe coming up on Rosecrans Avenue for the umpteenth time during this pursuit. He will have a decision to make there. I guess he could go through, but I think he's going to set up for a turn here. We'll see what happens, but he is coming up on Rosecrans after the stop sign here. Several cars there, and another major off of his front. Yeah, I think at the bottom there, Rob, is going to be, that's Rosecrans down there, I believe. Yeah. So he's got the red light here. We'll see what happens, but still traveling at a snail's pace. He kind of peaked at 30 miles per hour there and is now crawling once again back up to this intersection. No braking, just slowing all the way down. Here comes somebody right in front of him and weaving just around that vehicle through the red light. Why that person is doing that, no idea, but you saw that one unit, I think it was the lead unit, shine that spotlight right into that vehicle driver's side window. Like, what are you doing? Don't do that. Some more sparks flying now, some more smoke coming from the rear of the vehicle. Again, those right tires completely gone, nothing but rim on the right side of the vehicle. Hazard lights on, headlights on, and the left side appears. Look at that, there's the drink. There's the drink. It looks like maybe a water bottle that he threw out the window. More smoke as he picks up a little bit of speed here, upwards of 30 miles per hour, again on Santa Fe as he made his way through Rosecrans, coming up on Plum. 25 miles per hour. Again, he is going south on Santa Fe. Making the turn onto Compton Boulevard. A right turn, westbound Compton Boulevard to complete the circle. And around we go as he continues through the bottom of the 10 o'clock hour. A pursuit going on at least 2 hours by my count. Now pushing about 35 miles per hour on Compton Boulevard with a little bit of life left in the vehicle. He has finished his drink, both hands on the wheel, and he is going for it as far as this Kia will take him. Suspect continuing westbound on Compton Boulevard at a snail's pace, again, only about 25 miles per hour with CHP right behind him, forming a traffic break. So nobody can really come up behind them here to interfere. So they are ready if he does come to a stop. Not seeing many units left in front of him or at any of these intersections, quite frankly, awaiting him. I would have anticipated by now we would have seen another spike strip attempt, but we're not seeing that. Just those 4 or 5 units right behind him with the helicopter overhead. You see the night sun occasionally in the shot there. He is crawling along. Here comes an SUV, an interceptor along his left rear, and somebody's given the go-ahead for the pit. Here comes the pit, spinning him out of control, doing a 180. He is pushing the pedal to the metal. Another collision with another officer. CHP making contact there. He's coming around that light pole. A failed pit after he spun around, did a full 180. Another collision with CHP. He's going to thread the needle right through those officers in the back there, and away he goes. Another pit attempt there to no. Oh man, this is really frustrating for these CHP officers. This could not be more frustrating, quite frankly. After all of that, they saw a clean opportunity for a pit maneuver. Watch commander gives the go-ahead. It looked like a good one, and then he pushes the pedal to the metal, floors it. Not really fast, but certainly made contact with the front end of that one CHP unit, drove around that pole, and is now going eastbound. He's now eastbound on Compton Boulevard. If they see another opportunity, I imagine they're going to try it again. He's coming back for more. Here comes a different unit coming back for another pit attempt if he sees an opportunity. Speeds just under the threshold as he comes up on the double yellow lines, over the paint, through another red light, and we'll see if they try to make contact once again. Here it comes. Left rear, here comes the interceptor, CHP SUV, making contact, a full speed pit maneuver, spinning him at a 360, not enough to disable the vehicle. He continues to go. He's rolling along here, trying to gas the pedal there, but he's not going anywhere fast, but he is certainly continuing here. He is now northbound on Alameda Street. Northbound Alameda, more sparks flying from the front right rim. After 2 great pits, here comes a third pit attempt. This one's going to do it. This one's going to do it, a full 360. The car still goes. It's continuing. This Kia is refusing to give up on this guy. 3 pit maneuvers in a row. The last 2, a full 360, and he continues this joyride through the streets of Compton. Here comes pit maneuver number 4 along the right rear. SUV making contact. The bumper goes flying. There's the rear bumper, and now they're going to try and box him in. A possible opportunity to box him in, but no, he's still able to run. Gassing it again. He's doing about 5 miles per hour with whatever is left in this car. 5, maybe 10 miles per hour, coming to a slow crawl, and that is probably it. But man, this Kia is relentless. Here comes another possible pit. That would be attempt number 6 in this pursuit. And let's see, he's going to need to pick up a little bit more speed for an effective pit, but he might have the opportunity here. If he goes much above 10 or 15 miles per hour, I would expect to see that interceptor pull right up behind that left rear corner once again. Here it comes. Ooh, a slow speed pit under the overpass. That is Alameda. Alameda and Rosecrans. Here he is. Officers with their guns drawn. The vehicle at a complete stop, face to face, hands up in the air. He's putting up a fight. He is not cooperating. They're dragging him out. That's it. He is done. Tackling him to the ground after he ended up face to face, a full 180 with those officers. Must have been one more pit maneuver down there, and now he is being pulled out of the vehicle, placed under arrest. Oh boy. Well, that couldn't end much better or much safer because the potential for collateral damage over the course of the last couple of hours was high, to say the least. Enjoyed his last few moments of freedom behind the wheel there, and that'll do it. 6 pit maneuvers to bring this suspect into custody. Officers clearing the vehicle. Code 4 given. You can see them about to pop the trunk there. And this pursuit is over. One driver in custody, about to be hauled off to Men's Central Jail after a wild and dangerous pursuit here in Compton. CHP's got their man, and that'll do it for our coverage from up here in Air 7. Keep it right here on ABC7.com and Eyewitness News. Coming up in just 8 minutes, reporting live from Air 7 HD, I'm Chris Christie, ABC7 Eyewitness News.